Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. I'm your host, DB. Let's get into it. Let's talk about one of my favorite topics ever, masturbation. While masturbation is not a dirty word, it's not uncommon to feel shame and guilt when it comes to self-pleasure. This is due to a combination of cultural norms, religious influences, lack of meaningful media representation, harmful myths we all learned in sex ed, and more. But masturbation should be talked about in a positive light, and we should be honest about the very real positive impacts it has for people, especially for women and people with vulvas. That's why I decided to take pleasure into my own hands, figuratively and literally, with a magic wand masturbation experiment. In a nutshell, I wanted to answer one question. What is the impact of daily magic wand use on my health and wellness, as well as my sexual experience, when compared to regular sexual activity and no sexual activity? Want to see how the experiment unfolded? Check out sexedwithdb.com/magicwandexperiment now. I'm about to get personal here, so listen up. I'm going to tell you a fun fact about me that you definitely didn't know. The lube that I use most consistently is Uberlube. I really mean it. If you were here with me right now, I'd tell you to go over to my nightstand drawer and tell me what you see. That's right, you would see a bottle of Uberlube. If you've never heard of Uberlube, let me tell you about it. Uberlube is a silky smooth silicone-based lube recommended by leading doctors, and its body-friendly ingredient list makes it widely used by people with sensitivities to lubricants. Another amazing thing about Uberlube is that it doesn't leave a sticky residue like water-based lubes do. It lasts for a long time and doesn't stain clothing or bedding. I have 3 bottles of Uberlube on my bedside table right now, ready when I need it. If you're someone who wants to feel more pleasure in the bedroom, use code SEXEDWITHDB for 15% off at Uberlube.com. Trust me, it's amazing. Are you falling into a pattern with your partner? Looking to spice things up but aren't sure how? Me and my partner exit our ordinary with Lion's Den. Lion's Den has hundreds of your favorite brands to help you and your partner reconnect or try something new. From novices to dungeon masters, there are products for every comfort level. With 50 plus years in business, Lion's Den is here to help. Can't make it to a local store? Shop online and chat with a customer service team member while you shop. Lion's Den offers our listeners 15% off in-store and online using code SEXEDWITHDB at lionsden.com.
How can I choose the right sex toy for me? This is a great question.
Is the porn that you watch ethical? Let's find out.
What if my partner does not want to use a condom? I love this question.
This is Curious Sex Ed,
A podcast where 2 real sex educators answer even realer sex ed questions that you write into us.
We believe that curiosity around bodies, relationships, and sexuality is for everyone.
Learn with us as we educate about amazing sex ed topics and share juicy personal stories along the way.
Want to join our bestie crew to gain access to Curious Sex Ed?
Listen to the first 3 episodes of Curious Sex Ed for free wherever you get your podcast.
And tune into the rest of the season exclusively on buymeacoffee.com/CuriousSexEd. Hello, my Sex Ed with DB pals. I hope everyone is doing really, really great today. I'm doing fantastic. I just had the interview of the century with the folks that you're going to hear today, Elle and Ezra. Elle and Ezra are an amazing couple, and I'm really surprised we hadn't really interviewed a couple and talked about them being a couple on the podcast before. Or if we have, it was in an episode a long time ago, and I can't really remember it. But I'm just really, really happy that you get to hear from Elle and Ezra today. We talk about a lot of things in this episode. We talk about going from friends to lovers and what that's like for a friend group and for the 2 people who decide to get together and kind of what happens there and what happened there for them and their particular experience. We talk about trans joy and using comedy against the haters and why it's super important to use the vitriol of what other terrible people are saying and turn it into something that you can claim and feel empowered by and use it use that story on your own terms. And that is exactly what Elle and Ezra do. We talk about that, and you'll learn more about that and hear how they do that. And then we talk about really what folks should be paying attention to in this current landscape, especially in politics and what we're hearing in the media about transness and trans people and non-binary people. And we talk about why it's so important to really pay attention to that and advocate openly and sincerely for trans people and trans rights. Yeah, really just excited for you to hear this episode. They're so funny and really, really fun. And I just had a blast interviewing them. Down to a fun review from Apple Podcasts from Meditate Today. 5 stars. Their review is, "What a journey." They say, "Great show. Can't get enough of Danielle's funny takes, and her guests are top notch. Hope she keeps up the show forever." Wow. Really, really appreciate that, Meditate Today. Thank you so much. I really, really love doing this. So I hope I get to do it forever too. If you want me to read your review on the podcast, go to Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars, and review us. It really, really helps when it comes to other people finding the show. If you don't want to do that, feel free to share this episode with your parent or your family member or your friend, because that is really, really helpful. And here I am with Elle and Ezra. Hello, Elle and Ezra. Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. How are we doing today?
Great.
Great.
So
How are
happy
you?
to be here.
I'm very good. I just had some lunch, so I'm feeling fed. I'm feeling ready. I'm feeling just ecstatic, I guess, if you
Amazing.
will.
We love
Incredible.
lunch.
I will. Thank you.
I will.
We love lunch. Yeah.
I woke up this morning and I was like anxiety was like at a 7, and so I made
Okay.
emotional my mental health biscuits, which is something that I
good.
do when I need to save my mental health. Is I make biscuits, and they were delicious.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What
They
flavor
turned to
were
me and they
they?
were like, "Should I just make biscuits?"
I think.
And I was like, "Is that going to help you right now?" And they were like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And I was
I
like, "Go
think
for it."
is.
And then I made salsa, and we were just cooking
Yeah.
pretty silently next to each other,
Yeah.
making our
Did your
things.
anxiety go
partnership.
down post biscuit?
For sure. After first
Great.
bite, it's like medication.
Spectacular. I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah, I feel that way. I live on like a commune, if you will. It's kind of like a co-op in Oakland. We
Cool.
live in, my fiance and I live in our own 1-bedroom apartment, and we have like 17 people who kind of like share like this big kitchen ADU and a backyard and stuff. And one of our housemates is an amazing cook, and he recently made a slew of cinnamon rolls and was just like, whoever wants one. And I was like, me, I
Yes.
want one.
That's
And
the
it's just
best.
a nice little treat when you're feeling a little down or anxious to
For
get
sure.
that
Yeah.
sugar and then crash right back down, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And there's something
Right.
about just like the process of it all. I think often like just having like a direction for my like attention that is like a sustained activity, and like it's really helpful, because it's like
Yeah.
usually I'm like my mind's like a mosquito, and I'm like, but baking
Yeah.
swats.
Just buzzing around.
Yeah.
I'm sure like, cooking and baking, it's like, okay, what's the next task? What's the next thing?
For
So you have to
sure.
like follow it, and that maybe calms the mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Any hooser doozer, why don't we get this interview started? I'd love
Let's
for
do it.
both of you to introduce yourselves, tell us about yourselves and the work that you do. And I would just kind of love to hear like what you both are passionate about. I think like in discovering both of you and reading about both of you, you both have many, many talents. And I think that it's hard to grasp in one podcast interview, but we can sure as well try, I think.
For
So
sure.
why don't we go ahead and get started with that?
So I'm Ezra. I use he, they pronouns. And I'm primarily a musician, hairdresser, and screen print artist, I'd say. Like those are entrepreneur. But that's
Right.
so vague. I'm also I'm like very passionate about transmasculine visibility and representation of maybe like not the most common narrative of transmasculinity. So like allowing for nuance within the umbrella of transmasculinity, and like being an effeminate trans man, and like just being visible doing that has been really rewarding and healing for me. So I feel like that's, what else do I do?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, you do so much. He's also very handy. Like,
I'm very
Oh,
handy.
good.
yeah, incredibly handy.
Yeah. Crafty.
Like, you
I'm
build
also a hairdresser.
shelves.
Did you?
Yes.
Did I not
You're a
say
hairdresser, good with your hands. What
For sure.
Elle, like, around the space is Ezra handy with? Like, what's like you come home and you're like, wow, this is it.
Truly anything. Well, the most significant one in our home is the way he like completely remodeled our back shed to be a barber shop.
Oh yeah.
And it
Oh my
just
God.
like just the way that he like will have a task, and he like builds, he like put the floors in, he like sawed wood. He sawed it.
Saw that wood right up.
Saw it right up.
Yeah, and like, and it truly transformed it. And whenever there's like any sort of little, like, I could just look around this room alone and notice all the things that he like put together.
Aw.
Yeah, he's very good at that.
That's very
For
sweet.
sure.
That's very, very sweet. And what about you, Elle? Tell us about you.
My name is Elle Deran. My pronouns are they and she. And I'm an actor, a singer, and a content creator. And so I went to school for musical theater, and I've sort of expanded the scope of my my career to include like advocacy and specifically sort of like using what I learned about like storytelling and communication to share just sort of like discoveries about just my life and my journey towards self-actualization and whatnot. And I just realized during the pandemic how, you know, like social media is such a it's such a tool for like catharsis and like mirrored catharsis. So I can share something and find some sort of like gratification by like sharing this piece of myself, like, or this realization. And then other folks can be like, that resonates with me, I never thought of it that way, or yes, totally, or no, absolutely not, I hate you. Which is also real. But like having that, like that connection is definitely like my passion, is just to like drive folks to connect deeper to themselves by just literally simply sharing. That's very much my passion, is to help drive connection for folks to like connect deeper to themselves and others and community, and just like and do that by specifically sharing like my journey. A very like vulnerability is the currency for sure.
Totally. Yeah, I feel that so deeply for me whenever I do any sort of sex ed teaching in the classroom, because I think when you connect with the youth and they don't think you're complete dog doo-doo, you're like, okay, I'm doing something right here. Like when they think that you're trustworthy, or they're able to come to you after class and be like, hey, I didn't really want to ask this in front of everybody else, but I trust your opinion. Like, what do you think about this?
Right.
And I think that is kind of like on social media, that's kind of like the virtual way of doing that, of being like, hey, like I really appreciated what you just posted. Like, this is my story, and what you said really, really relates to me and my story. And I think that that's like really powerful.
Definitely. I mean, we all like share so many like universal human experiences, and I think the only the thing that's like positioned me in this situation is, one, like my background in like performing and like being able to communicate a message in a way that like that is entertaining, you know. But then also I think like I've just like through answering folks' questions, I've like found a way of speaking that kind of like that really resonates with me. Like the more that I've been called to put words to my experience, the better I get at it. And I think that's what resonates with people, is like that I'm finding words that they might not have the opportunity to find for themselves or for their own experience. So it's like sharing that verbiage can just like words are a tool for connection with like ourselves and others. So it's like, I think that's what I hope to offer folks, is words.
Yes. Yeah. That's definitely how I feel about whenever I see Alok and any of their content. I
For
feel like
sure.
if you listener don't know who Alok is, search ALOK. They are an incredible poet and queer activist and trans activist, and the way that they speak makes me emotional because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of incapable sometimes of being able to say the words that I want to say to express myself, and I feel like they do a really fantastic job of that. And when I discovered you both, I felt like you both did that in various ways, either through music or through skits or through, you know, just talking to camera and kind of just sharing a story. And I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, Alok is definitely a huge inspiration. Their book was one that, like, their book Beyond the Gender Binary is one that I had like all of my loved ones read when I first came out, just to sort of give them some context.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
they're amazing.
Yeah, amazing. So we rarely do interviews with couples on the podcast.
Wow.
I think we've only done like one, and we weren't even talking about them being a couple. It was like they happened to work together on this thing that we were interviewing them about. And so it's really nice to have you both here together. And so I wonder if you can just give us a little bit of more detail about like your love story and how you met and like what that was like, and how long you've been together and just whatever you want to share.
Yeah.
That's my favorite story.
Oh, great.
We started out as friends,
Here's the
and
thing.
we started out.
It was cool, but
It was all pretend.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
We started out at like just being in this like queer trans friend group that was like a lot of like people on social media just kind of started hanging out together and going out and partying, being in our early 20s and just
Sure.
going for it. And I just was like really taken by Elle because they were always the person in our friend group that would like say something hilarious under their breath and nobody would hear it, or people would just like not like, they would hear it but they wouldn't like really let it sink in, and I'd be like the only one that would get the joke, and I just thought that they were like the funniest person I'd ever met in my entire life. And so then I just started standing next to them. Like when we would be hanging out as a group, I would like find them and like beeline for them, trying to like hear the funny thing they were going to say.
Oh.
And that was how it started for me. It was just like a genuine admiration for their sense of humor. And then we fucked. No.
And the
It was
rest is
just like
history.
cut to like, yeah, just like
I was like,
Bone
you're
Town.
funny. Let's fuck. No, then we I was really interested in like exploring intimacy with our friends, because I had been in a polyamorous dynamic with another person, and we had an open relationship, and he was really into hooking up a lot with other people, and I was like, every time I tried to hook up with somebody, it was really lame, and I was like kind of giving up on like hooking up with strangers on apps. And then but I was still horny, and I was like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna
Wait, when you say lame, was it like just not a good connection? Like what was happening?
It was just like, so as a person with a pussy, like this is a really common experience for folks trying to hook up with like people with dicks who have like people with pussies trying to hook up with people with dicks. That's it's like I don't know. For me, it was like I would just kind of be in acceptance of the fact that I probably wouldn't come. Like I would just be like, well, I mean, I might like have some pleasurable experience, but I'm probably not going to finish. Like, and then I would just go into the hookup knowing that. And it was like already kind of a defeatist mindset. And it was only because it was based on actual lived experience, you know. And over the course of my like early 20s, hooking up with people, it was like probably 90% of the time I wouldn't finish. So it was just like lame.
Right.
I don't know.
Been there many times, and many
Right?
people,
Yeah,
many people with vulvas can confirm. That is a very. I think it's changing personally. I think like anecdotally and like just the data that are coming out around like the way in which people with vulvas and women identifying people are interacting with their partners. I do think that conversation is shifting a bit, but
I do too.
yeah, but I definitely agree that like if we're talking like 5, 10, 15 years ago, like that was not really the case.
No. And also the internalized shame about advocating for my pleasure that I had already developed over the course of my lifetime. That was definitely affecting my ability to like say like, hey, what about me, bro? What's up? Like, and usually there were cis gay men who were like, I've never been with a pussy before. I'm just like, I don't know. Or they'd be like, I'm going to make you come 17 times. And I'm like, I doubt that. Like,
you're like, just the once will do. Maybe, maybe the twice.
Try once first. Jesus.
Right.
So that was what led me to wanting to like hook up with my friends because they were all hot and like fun. And I was like, great, let's try this. So I was really forward with my friend group and I was like, what about intimacy? And then I was like, let's play spin the bottle and see what happens.
And that was the first time we kissed. Ezra was so suave because everyone
I wasn't suave.
You were suave. Everyone had kissed everyone in the room except we hadn't kissed yet, and we were playing it so like the person who spun got to decide who the person landed on would kiss. So Ezra like spun the bottle and it landed on me, and he said, "Kiss me," and I was like.
Insert squawk here.
Yes. And then we unkissed and it was magical. And was
it a peck? Was it a makeout? Was it like, oh sorry, we gotta go, like we gotta go finish this somewhere else?
It was like there was tongue
kiss. Was there tongue?
Oh my god.
I touched your tongue.
Maybe.
I'm sure we touched tongues.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
I feel like
he's sure of it. It must have.
Yeah. I mean, Ezra's sober, I'm not, but I was a little tipsy then. So
I can confirm we touched tongues.
Okay. And so, we have a lot to unpack here. I mean, first of all, I want to touch on this idea of like intimacy with friends. I think like there is a very real thing where people feel this like super closeness with friends, and like it's very rare, I feel, to hear friend groups kind of interacting in that way. Can you maybe speak a little bit to like the scary parts of that, or like the celebratory parts, or what that looked like for your friend group?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't go well. Let's just say that. But I think that like in theory, we were all very much like just like a lot of folks are, especially in like the queer community, just like exploring a new like or redefining the boundaries of love and intimacy, and just sort of like recognizing, I like enjoy this person's company. Like I might not, like partnership might not be correct, but like we're both physically attracted to each other. Like maybe we can share a moment and share one together and just enjoy it and let it be innocent and playful. Mm-hmm. And the nights that we were like, it was really lovely. And also like, I think, we could have the conversation. I think there were feelings involved. Like as much as we wanted to operate under this, I'll speak for myself. As much as I wanted to operate under this ideology of a like free, limitless love, I wasn't left without like the conditioning and the emotional connection and the expectations that come with being intimate with someone. So it's like the theory I still like believe in wholeheartedly, but in practice for me it was much more challenging than it sounds,
Yeah.
So I don't regret it by any means.
Good.
Yeah, of course, because we
thanks God.
Of course. But like,
She's like, I have something to say.
Yeah.
Something to tell you.
I don't regret it.
No, good. Awesome.
It was definitely a tricky time, like dealing with the fallout of that.
That was
Like for your
very
friends
challenging.
too, or like for everyone involved?
The friend group exploded.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was really a catalyst for the explosion. Was
Yeah.
this us getting together thing?
Yeah.
Us falling
Okay.
madly in love, and
you starting to build shelves around your house.
basically it was really the shelves that did it.
It was at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I could get that, especially, yeah, I mean, friend groups that are very close, like have a certain dynamic. And when two people of that group like shift that dynamic, there could be hurt feelings, or maybe it's not
Definitely.
the same as before. I don't know if either of you or both of you have seen the incredible HBO show called Somebody Somewhere.
No,
But it's a
no.
really cute show. And it's with Bridget Everett, who is
I
a
love
comedian.
Bridget Everett.
Yeah. Okay. Then you have to see this show. So
Okay.
basically, like, she's like going through a hard time. She like moves back home because her sister passes away of cancer, and she needs to kind of like deal with the fallout of that. And her mom like has an alcohol problem, and it's like it's a comedy, but it's a little dark. And in season 2, I won't spoil anything because I want you to see for yourself, but there very much is this piece of like, there's a really close friendship that she has with like this queer friend of hers in her town who like doesn't really date that much. And then he like potentially, you know, finds a boyfriend, and she's like very hurt by this based on how close their friendship is, and it kind of unfolds from there. But I think like I just saw like that episode
Oh yeah.
this week. So I think
Amazing.
it's very relevant. And yeah, it's tough. Like how did you kind of navigate that repair, or like what does that look like with you two and your friends now?
Well, I think that what really happened was the truth of our incompatibility was revealed really quickly when we were trying to deal with the repair and the fallout. And like, I did my best to keep my side of the street clean by like doing anything I could to like be really, really honest and upfront with everybody, while everybody seemed, not everybody, but like, while it seemed to be like there was a lot of fear and a lot of like talking behind people's backs and a lot of that. And I was just like, I can't do this. Like I'm like in recovery. So like secrets and lying and like that kind of stuff is like so insidious for me. Like that threatens my sobriety really quickly. So like I can't do that. Like that's why I was just like, I have to like, we have to talk, like let's get together as a group and talk. And it just like was really quickly revealed that we had different priorities and different worldviews about autonomy and like what it meant to be in control of our bodies and our lives, and not like have ownership over folks. And that's basically like what I learned. And so we came away from it just being like, it's just you and me, babe.
Yeah. And also I think we just realized how good we felt together. And and the more we like leaned into spending time with each other and realized how good and easy and clean it was, it kind of highlighted like in all aspects of my life, you know, like what doesn't feel as good and clean and easy, you know?
Right.
And
it revealed that.
For sure, by just existing alongside this amazing feeling, recognizing, like I deserve to curate my life to be full of things and people that feel as good as this. And that's the beautiful thing. And I think like as folks like, you know, grow up, and I think in your 20s, really, like that's sort of the journey, is like at first chasing bigness, chasing like attention, chasing like whatever's like the cool thing to do, whatever's hot, going out looking cool, feeling cool, and then realizing like as you get used to that feeling, realizing that it's superficial and you're craving more. And then as you are like seeking out more and realizing that you deserve to be picky, that I'd rather have less and higher quality things and people in my life than be surrounded by people who I don't feel that
have
like
your back and
lightness. Yeah. So like, I think now like, my world is smaller and richer at the same time.
Yeah. We're getting into the weeds of it. This was not part of the script. This is
We
good
are,
though. This is
for
good.
sure.
This is some good stuff. And yeah, I totally relate to that. I recently turned 30 not that recent, this past December. So I'm kind of midway through my 30th year here.
Awesome.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. But yeah, I totally get that. I think like relationships take a lot of like love and compatibility for them to feel like effortless and light. And for some of the ones that feel really worth it, where both of you really love each other and you want to put in maybe that extra effort and work, then maybe it's worth it. But like figuring out where there is lightness and where there is richness without maybe feeling like you're kind of putting in like a lot of emotional labor that you're not really able to add, considering other things that are going on in your life. Like it's important to take stock of that.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. It just so happens that Elle and I are like incredibly compatible, and that like so far it's just been like easy breezy, beautiful cover girl.
Yeah.
With
Cover
us.
squirrel.
Yeah.
Cover squirrel.
We're really like waiting for it to get hard, and it just gets easier.
It's really,
it feels
that's special.
It really is.
That's rare.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, I've been around the block. Let me tell you.
Been around a few times.
Around. In Oakland, I had to leave because I fucked my way through.
Just every single person.
I was a Millsbian. I went to Mills.
Yeah,
and that's like
a Millsbian. Got it. Yeah. So Mills College is a college in Oakland, for the listener that doesn't know.
It's a lesbian college in Oakland.
Is it exclusively lesbian? They're like, are you lesbian? Come on in.
Come on in. No, literally my like essay was like, I'm like, yeah, it was like, I don't know how I got into that school, but like somehow. But yeah, so like I've definitely had a lot of relationships in my day. I started dating when I was in 6th grade and then just didn't stop from then on. So it's
special what you
incredibly
have found
special what Elle and I have. Like this is, I mean, you're my forever person, forever and ever. Amen.
Don't. I'm gonna cry. Okay. It's nice. It's so nice. Love is
know.
Nice, and it's
I
nice
love
to
love.
witness. And yeah, it's very special. So thank you for being interviewed together and sharing your love story. Interested in experimenting with anal sex? Here are 10 things to know before bottoming, with expertise from a doctor and anal surgeon at Future Method. Number 1, lube is a bottom's best friend. Nothing beats the slickness and endurance of silicone. Number 2, there are many types of lube out there, but not all of them are great for your butt. The 3 types you should avoid are warming lubes, desensitizing or numbing lubes, and spit. Number 3, there's a proper way to stretch your hole before your bottoming debut. People talk about introducing toys into foreplay and self-play, but they also serve a very important purpose: dilating and maintaining your hole, both to aid opening and strengthening of the skin and muscle, so that you can maximize your pleasure and minimize your risk of injury. Number 4, douching with water or enemas isn't good practice. Enter the Future Method Anal Douche Powder Packs, a first-of-its-kind solution you can take on the go to help you feel confident and ready before you bottom. Number 5, it's not only okay to speak up, but it's imperative for the health and safety of everyone involved. While initial discomfort may be present, if anything hurts, stop. Want to hear the rest? Go to futuremethod.com to learn more, and don't forget to use code SEXED with DB for 15% off their amazing products.
I'm Amy, sex and relationship coach, certified sex educator, and 2022's Sexpert of the Year in the sex toy industry.
And I'm April, VP of Hot Octopus, sex toy mogul, and 2016's Woman of the Year in the sex toy industry. Allow us to introduce you to Shameless Sex, a real talk, informative podcast all about sex and relationships, but with a playful twist.
Want to learn how to eat pussy like a champ? suck dick like a boss,
Ew.
how to better communicate, connect with, and touch lovers and partners? Or maybe you just want to be the master baiter of your own sexual pleasure.
Shameless Sex releases episodes weekly and features accredited doctors, authors, therapists, and educators, available on all podcast apps. Just look up Shameless Sex to discover your new best friends when it comes to all things sex and relationships. To learn more, visit shamelesssex.com.
Let me tell you about one of my favorite pleasure product retailers out there, Lion's Den. If you haven't heard about Lion's Den before, I can't wait to tell you about them. Lion's Den opened its first retail facility in Columbus, Ohio in 1971. That's right, over 50 years ago. Since then, they've grown to more than 50 outlets throughout the US, building their reputation on high-quality products, low prices, and a knowledgeable sales staff who can help you find the perfect toy. One of the many things I love about Lion's Den is that they advocate for a sex-positive perspective on intimacy and sexual well-being, and strive to break the stereotypes and stigma surrounding sex by providing comprehensive educational resources to empower everyone to enjoy life to the fullest. They are simply amazing. Lucky for you, Lion's Den is giving my listeners an exclusive discount of 15% off your purchase, in-store and online with code SEXEDWITHDB at lionsden.com. What are you waiting for? Get your amazing Lion's Den toy now. We're going to switch gears to comedy
Let's
quick.
do it.
Because as I mentioned to you offline before this interview, I discovered both of you from your hilarious viral video, A Day in the Life of a Trans Couple. And we're going to play that right now so that the listener, let me tell you, I highly recommend you seeing it because the visuals are chef's kiss. They're very, very good and they very much add to the video. But for now, I will give you the audio of Elle and Ezra's A Day in the Life of a Trans Couple. We'll play that right now.
A
Day in the life of a trans couple.
First, we wake up and immediately stab each other with our daily dose of hormones paid for by the conservative taxpayers of America.
We get out of bed, brush our teeth, wash our face, then we stand in the mirror and scream at our bodies because we hate them!
After we get dressed in the clothing of the opposite sex, we make some coffee and breakfast.
On the menu today is egg, homemade biscuit, and leftover meat from Ezra's top surgery.
Protein. Time for some exercise.
It is my all-time dream to dominate in women's sports, so I'll spend 2 hours bench pressing Ezra while he researches for local public restrooms that we haven't terrorized yet.
Then, to get out of the house, we'll go hunt for the neighborhood children so we can force them into drag and teach them the ins and outs of transgenderism.
Once we've successfully turned all the kids trans, we'll head back home to start winding down.
We will spend at least 3 hours engaging in biological, heterosexual intercourse just to pull an Uno reverse card on God and really rub it in her face. Is this what you want from us?
Before bed, we always make sure to pray to Satan, thanking him for blessing us with mental illness and doing his work through us. Thanks for watching.
Every time it just gets better and better and better. Okay, so I've seen this video like maybe 6 times. Wow. And I've sent it to everyone I know because I feel like it's very unique in that it does a really, really good job of using comedy to show like the absurdity of these really common myths and misrepresentations of trans people that we're seeing so much these days in very hateful ways in the media. Mm-hmm. And I would love to just talk about this because it's completely viral, millions and millions of views at this point. And I would just love to know like the process of making it. Like, can you talk about comedy and using that as like a way to fight hatred and like share love and light and silliness in this way?
Yeah, that's I mean that's the kind of humor that happens in our household. Like all day we're just kind of like using those like I don't know. We're very our sense of humor is very like vulgar and extreme, and it's often like reclaiming the like narratives about us and like fully claiming them as if they're true because we think it's hilarious because literally all we do is like skip around all day and make biscuits like and
harmless.
Yeah, and it's like it's just like honestly what had happened a couple weeks prior is that we got like bullied on the internet by this guy who has like this really huge podcast, and he just like made fun of our relationship, and it really took me out. Like I was really like just really affected by it. One, because he sent all of his like pawns to like, you know, like over to our page, and so like I was getting like thousands of hate comments and death threats, and it was just like overwhelming. And so like I didn't land on comedy immediately, you know, like I had to go through a lot of grief and pain and just like
the stages.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like it really threw me off. And as I was coming out of it, like I knew, and we knew, that we wanted to like respond to it somehow. And like, you know, the first inclination is like attack that person, you know, like attack them back, but knowing that like that isn't good for that isn't a good thing to do, because it's not a good thing to do. It's not a good thing to do. It doesn't feel good, even though it might scratch an itch. But then one day I think I came back from like an appointment or something, and I was like, and we were just like, how did it?
I have no idea.
I don't even. It feels like a blur.
It feels like a blur. We just started writing this script. We knew we wanted to make something together.
Yeah.
We initially were going to write a song together, and then that ended in flames.
Yeah. We're like, let's write a song to the hater, a love letter to the haters.
Yeah, it was like,
and then we were really like, why are we focusing on that?
It was so hard.
Yeah.
But yeah. I feel like with what you were saying about like the initial responses to like clap back somehow. For me, I had this epiphany while I was processing my reaction to that podcaster guy. I was thinking about like why it's so infuriating to even have to think about a clap back, because it insinuates that this is an argument, and it is not. It is somebody who is insane saying false things about real people they do not know, and then saying that they're true. It's like if this were any other situation, it would be so obvious. Like if this person was saying like this about any other oppressed minority, about a fucking, like if there was a tree and then he was like, there's no tree, people would be like, you're dumb. Like, right. Or like, what's wrong with, or can you see, first of all, like, that's a valid question. Can you see?
Let's start from the basics.
But then if he can see, then he's just nuts, you know, but because he's talking about trans people, he's like, well, let's hear him out. And it's like, why would I want to hear him out? That's dumb. It's infuriating.
Like there's no kind of like rationalizing this. Like, we're not going to ever be on the same page here because you are literally saying false things that are actively harmful and hurtful.
Yeah.
And I'm really sorry that you had to go through that also.
It sucked. But like, but the thing is, like, transness and gender nonconformity has been like the butt of the joke in the media for like decades. So it's so easy for folks in the media and folks responding to content like spewing lies about transness or laughing at trans people to like minimize it, to like see it as something that's like just sick or like laughable or
pathetic.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's, you know, I think what we both discovered was like the power of making yourself the butt of the joke and claiming it and say, and like we joke all day, like about being like
dirty transsexual
like just be like we everything they say about us we do too, just like just to, because it's funny to us. It actually is.
It is funny. There are things about it that are hilarious.
Yeah.
It's just that we don't have the animosity or it's all minus the death threats.
Right.
Really. It's just
it's not funny.
And
at
it was
all.
just like love and care and like kindness
Mhm.
and control of the narrative of like when
Yeah.
you want to do that and how you
Yeah.
want to do that
Exactly.
and who you do it with.
Yeah.
And like that's the whole difference, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so with this video, it was very much like, let us show them what it would actually look like if these things were true.
Yeah.
Like if you are going to villainize us without actually knowing a trans person or connecting to a trans person or hearing them out or seeing the humanity in them, like watch two human trans people going through the motions of what you say is true and just like look how absurd you look. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
and
It's
I
like
think
their own words throwing them back in their face.
absolutely. And it's like I think it felt really good to get such a great response to it because we were laughing while filming it all day. It was so fun.
It's
But,
fucking funny. It's
the
really
footage,
funny.
the footage that we have of us like sprinting through the streets through our neighborhood,
We
like
should do some bloopers. Or
we
something.
should. It was really healing being able to like transmute that like tension and that energy, that negative energy into like laughter. And I think that is powerful. And I don't think it's the only way, but I think it is perhaps a underutilized way in the social media space.
I agree.
Right.
Definitely.
Totally.
And a lot of folks don't have access to the language that like a lot like I don't have statistics in my brain. I don't have like beautiful sentences that are gonna like cut down somebody who's trying to bully me. Like I don't have that. That's not my strong suit. So but I am hilarious and I can make a video. And so like I think leaning into what our strengths are only builds our self-esteem and our self-confidence, and it maintains our power too. Like I don't want to like engage with a bully and use energy to do that and feel depleted afterwards. I already feel bad, you know? So like I want if I'm going to respond, I want it to be life-giving.
And how did it feel when it started going viral? Like, what was that initial kind of was it like super overwhelming? Did you feel like, oh, like shit, I didn't expect this? Like, I'm gonna pull up, and see what the most current count is. But like, it's wild. Like, it's how many? What are we? 200. It's been liked by 250,000 people. It's been viewed 2.1 million times. Like that in and of itself must have felt like, oh my God, what is this here? What have we created?
Huh.
Yeah.
Does it feel that?
I don't know. I mean,
you're like, we're really used to this. It's fine.
Definitely not. Like that is definitely like abnormal, but it feels I don't know. I think honestly, like, I don't know the like measure of on the internet. Sometimes it feels like you're only as like successful as your last post. So it's like,
so you're like, we're on to the next one.
A bit, it kind of
immediately.
That sucks.
I know, right?
That it's like that.
A little bit. Yeah, no, it definitely does. But it's like, I mean, I definitely am incredibly proud of it. And while it was happening, we were like refreshing all day. And we were like so happy that like people were like having the response that we hoped they'd had. And like we got like, I mean, we both on Instagram specifically, only people who follow us can comment. So we got like we got very few like hate comments, maybe one that was just like annoying, like eye roll. But like
I'll take an eye roll.
Yeah,
I roll at us too.
Yeah. But it felt really great that we could like that folks could laugh with us.
Definitely. Yeah. And like we went out like a few nights after we posted it, and it was like we were at like some queer birthday party, and people were like, "We loved your video!
Oh my God! People came up to you like strangers.
No, well, like like other influencer type people. who
Cool.
it's cool. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's a little
Definitely-
celebrity moment. It
A little
feels like,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's fun.
I love it. I think
Yeah.
it's so important. It's so funny. It, to me, like, as someone who really values humor, and like you said, Ezra, with like, oh, like, we're not always like, oh, 56% of XYZ population,
Right.
like that. People don't like remember that
Mhm.
really.
No.
Like, they remember like things that made them feel a certain way. And I
Yes.
remember how I felt the 6 times I
Mhm.
watched your video, which is like, this is so unique. This is so funny. This is so important. And I think, like, just to segue really quickly, I think like, because we're talking about like celebrating transness, I think it's equally as important to talk about like the current state of kind of like what trans folks and non-binary folks are experiencing in this country and how dire of a situation it is. And to not only talk about that and talk about the celebration, but like, I would be remiss not to kind of ask, right? Like, what should we be paying attention to, like folks who are listening right now, when it comes to how important it is to advocate for queer, trans, non-binary rights and lives of people?
Yeah. Well, I think most people, I believe, are like a bit indifferent. Like, most people probably think, oh, trans women shouldn't be playing in women's sports, like, because they have this idea about like biological sex that's not like the whole picture, or they have an idea about like the rules of trans women competing, or I don't know. People have a lot of ideas about transness and like opinions that they haven't really like leaned into. They don't enter these conversations with curiosity. They enter with like looking to get validation about how they already feel. And I think like, I just wish that people would, like, most people don't know a trans person. They just know transness as this idea, and they have all of these narratives about transness that aren't built by trans people themselves. So it's like, but when we're looking at like the like political climate around transness, and also the like violence and vitriol and like these narratives that are being spread about us are truly it is the like stage, like, what, I don't know, someone said it's like stage 7 or 8 of like genocide, like truly like calling trans people groomers and pedophiles, politicians calling like specific trans people groomers and pedophiles who like are literally just trans people in the world, like, just for existing. It is so vicious. It is intentional attacks in order to keep folks in line with this like oppressive status quo, in order to just like for folks to like perpetuate their ideas of their own supremacy, like in their identity and way of being. And like, it is all like, it all stems from narratives and like rules like that were put in place like with like by colonizers and colonization, and this way of creating a supreme evolved race. And when we break it down and peel back the layers, it really is like white supremacy at work. And like the fact that like there are many cultures around the world who have historically celebrated gender nonconformity and transness, like that has been entirely erased in the name of creating a supreme race. But even the gender binary, which Alok talks about this too, originally when it was like instated and like imposed onto the population, it didn't apply to Black and brown people because it was considered like a sign of evolution is existing under these norms. And so like, people don't know this. And as a trans person, who is up against being challenged all day, every day, I have done so much research and just trying to learn about my own experience and why I'm feeling this way, and why these rules and why the status quo feels like makes me miserable to try to mold myself into. It's like that feeling is real. And people really see, like, people don't see the experiential as equally real and valid as the physical. So they just want to focus on my physical body, not my experience. They don't see my experience in this body as equally real and valid as my body itself. And because they don't see themselves that way, they can't see themselves beyond the structures that they have been bred to like serve. They like, and if they just could see us as a key to like expand themselves beyond these limitations, as opposed to like recognizing that like we are not a threat to them, we are a threat to the structures that like oppress us all. And they don't know the difference between themselves and these structures that they've made sacrifices to uphold, because they're subconscious in a lot of ways.
You're so hot.
It's just it's infuriating to have so much clarity and then watch people like just like experience
over and
me
over and over again.
Yeah, and just have no compassion or curiosity, you know, like I am, if they could just look into my eyes and see the humanity, and also see the joy and euphoria that I have as I have leaned further into this what I know to be true of my identity, like they would not see me as a threat. They would be like, I want what they're having. Like, how did they get to that place? What can I learn from their experience? And many people are like that. Many people are like, that's what I've built my platform off of. And it's like how people experience me is a reflection of their readiness and willingness to confront what I stir up in them, which is the sacrifices they've made to uphold the gender binary. So,
is there anything else to add to this?
Listen. I'm so in love with you.
Thanks.
I love the way you speak. What was the question?
No. Really, really, really good follow up there. Basically, the question is like, what do we need to be paying attention to, and like why is it critical that we're kind of having this conversation right now?
Sure. I think that we need to be paying attention to our like okay. I feel like the main thing that I'm noticing about the bullies and the people who are like inciting genocide upon us, wanting to kill us, literally, is that they don't see our humanity, like Elle said, you know. And it's like but I also have internalized transphobia that allows me to disregard my own humanity and the humanity of other trans people around me. I'm still working through like having been raised in this transphobic system. And so I think that the main thing that I would suggest is like unlearning and unpacking our own internalized transphobia as our main priority in general, because like we cannot actually change the patterns that we are engaging with that are transphobic if we don't actually change within ourselves to start. Like it's quite simple. Like the more we lean into unpacking all of our like weird internalized beliefs about what transness is, the more love we'll have for ourselves, the more love we'll have for people around us, and the more compassion and whatever empathy. We're not so different. Like literally, we all know what it feels like to be uncomfortable in our skin. That is a human experience. Just because mine has to do with needing to chop my tits off doesn't mean that it's that much different than somebody who like it's just. And I think a lot of trans people like to hold on to this idea that like transness is so different than cisness. A trans experience is so different than a cis experience. And yes, it is. And there are so many similarities because we are humans at the end of the day. And I think like the more I lean into finding our similarities and relating to everybody, like the more compassion I have for human beings as a whole. And I think that is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just think for folks listening to who I imagine perhaps most of the folks who are listening are like are potentially very liberal and accepting.
They're with it. Yeah.
With it. Yeah. So like they've made it this far. So so I think really what I want people to know is that this is not the time to run away from the folks in your life who have transphobic viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the time to confront them and educate them, because they are the ones who are voting. That creates like, that gives people the power to take away what makes us like wanting to stay alive. Like literally their desire to take away our healthcare and trans kids, like gender affirming healthcare for trans kids. Like every major medical association like believes that gender affirming healthcare saves lives. So if you are not fighting up against people who are trying to take that away from trans kids, then like you are running away from this literal like murder. Like it is murder. It's not like it's so upsetting. Like we were in Florida this past weekend, and like for Ezra was at a gig, and just see like it was such a beautiful experience watching community come together, and also like just like speaking to folks who are so afraid of losing what makes life worth living. And it's happening. It's not even a what if, it's happening. So it's like it's time to have those hard conversations. It's not enough to just like cut those people out to protect your peace, because the more we isolate ourselves from the people who are harming us, then the less we can do to stop it.
Yeah. Really well said. And I really appreciate both of your viewpoints and sharing your experiences. I think, if you're someone who's listening who, you don't really know where to start, maybe like start in your own community, Google, like LGBTQ plus center near me, give them a call, shoot them an email, like figure out if you can volunteer or donate, or if they want you to be a part of their campaign, or, like start where you are and see how it goes. And yeah, I think you're right. Like now is the time to really speak up and speak out and pay attention. And, Ezra had a specific question for you around your music, but I wonder if it would be more powerful, if you're okay with it, if at the end of this interview and episode, we could play one of your songs so folks could hear it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Great. I think that's the best way for someone to really get to know someone's music, instead of just talking about music. It's like, instead of talking about a picture, let's just look at the picture.
Yeah,
and I think it's the same thing for music. So we can chat about which song after, but listener, don't you worry. You will get a fantastic performance, recorded, not live. Listen, we only have an hour together. But I would love to know, just to close out this wonderful interview. And again, thank you both so much for taking the time and hearing your story. It's been really wonderful, but I'm wondering if you can share what's next for you two, maybe as a couple and as individuals, and where can our listeners find both of you?
Yeah.
Well, our year anniversary is that next week?
June 15, whatever that is.
So happy early
That's
anniversary.
That's the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Career-wise, who knows, baby? I'll still be on the internet making my videos. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we like making stuff together.
Yeah,
I think that
do.
we've really tried to maintain very low pressure for that, and like really create some boundaries around like creating stuff together. And like we're unlike a lot of couples on the TikTok and Instagram, in the sense that like we don't record every second of our lives together. And like
Yeah.
when like even when we're experiencing something that is hilarious or whatever, like my first thought isn't to take my phone out and start recording it. So I mean, I feel like the next thing that we do together will be a surprise to all of us.
For sure.
But we do enjoy being creative together, so we'll see. And then for me, like I'm gonna be trying to tour in the next year or so. That's my goal. And doing some Pride gigs. I'm gonna be at Orange County Pride, Long Beach Pride in July, and releasing a new song probably in August-ish. And about you even. Yeah.
More squawking.
Yeah.
Also check out Ezra's clothing brand.
Oh yeah.
Pussy Boy Apparel.
It
is exceptional.
It's like a clothing line I created for trans masks, empowerment and body positivity and
Incredible.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's very good.
And
I'm
where
very
can
talented.
As I mentioned before,
It's true.
I'm really fucking good at stuff. Where can folks find you? What are your handles?
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Elle.Deran.
Yes, that's
ELLE.DERAN. So
you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Ezra Michel Music. That's EZRA MICHEL Music. You can also find me at Pussy Boy Apparel on Instagram and TikTok. But the U in pussy is an underscore because of censorship.
Of course. Well, I'm really, really happy again to meet both of you. Thank you again so much. And now please enjoy Ezra's music.
Yay!
Pussy boy, pussy. I'm not talking about bussy. I'm talking drip, drip, dripping out the front of his pants. So you think you know pussy just 'cause you've been checking out ladies, but you never even asked yourself if there was another pussy to be thinking about. Try me on for a size. I know you'll be pleasantly surprised when you realize this boy was what you've been looking for your whole life. Pussy boy, pussy. I'm not talking about bussy. I'm talking drip, drip, dripping out the front of his pants. His whole wide world is gonna get your tongue to dance on that pussy boy, pussy. On that pussy boy, pussy. On that pussy boy, pussy. That pussy, pussy, pussy boy. On that pussy boy, pussy. On that pussy boy, pussy. That pussy, pussy, pussy boy. It's the best kept secret in all of human history. The ones that keep it quiet are surely gonna come for me. I'm tired of the hush, hush about all the luscious boys who like the way their bodies get turned on like gush, gush. All I wanna say is pussy is the vibe and the way. I'm here to speak the truth and to dismantle the shame. It's our time. It's come time. Pussy boy, pussy. I'm not talking about bussy. I'm talking drip, drip, dripping out the front of his pants. His whole wide world is gonna get your tongue to dance on that pussy boy, pussy. On that pussy boy, pussy. On that pussy boy, pussy. That pussy, pussy, pussy boy. On that pussy boy, pussy. On that pussy boy, pussy. That pussy, pussy, pussy boy. Pussy boy, pussy, on that pussy boy, pussy, that pussy, pussy, pussy boy. On that pussy boy, pussy, on that pussy boy, pussy, that pussy, pussy, pussy boy.
Our creator, host, and executive producer is me, Danielle Bezalo. Our producer and communications lead is Catherine Cohen. Our associate producer and communications coordinator is Sadie Luigi. Our marketing coordinator is Kate Fiala. Our music theme is by Hook Sounds. Thanks so much to our featured guests, partners, and listeners. Want to partner with us? Email us at sexedwithdb@gmail.com. For more sex ed content, follow us on Instagram at sexedwithdbpodcast and on TikTok at sexedwithdb. For exclusive content and to submit an anonymous sex ed question, check out my new podcast on Fridays, Curious Sex Ed, hosted with Mariah Caudillo of Sex Ed Files. Go to buymeacoffee.com/curioussexed to learn more. See you next time.